Thanks so much for coming tonight. My name is Joe Ferrier, and it's my honor to be here, and my pleasure that you've all showed up, because it's so much more fun with you here. We tried it this afternoon without, and it just didn't work as well. How many of you have been to one of my shows here before, when we do a pop rock and doo-wop show, or we have Genuine Americans, but we're so glad you're here. Those of you already know that when we do this, we do it right. And we started 2 days ago off on the wrong foot, when we got a little bit of bad news. By now, most of you know, because you got a phone call or an email, you saw the poster when you came in, that we love the Love and Spoonful, and they, through something totally unavoidable, weren't able to be here tonight. So I said, there's no way we're going to start this show off on a low note, on a sour note. So what we did is we called some friends, and we decided to make the show bigger and better than it was before, and we started with a real solid foundation, because we already had Gary Puckett and the Union Gap, one of the biggest rockers. You know, he outsold the Beatles in 1968. I mean, we're talking about major stars of rock and roll. And then I said, who would be a great addition to this thing that everybody would love? And so we called Dennis Tufano, the original lead singer of the Buckinghams. And I said, we can't be there because we're going to be somewhere else close by a couple weeks later. And I said, well, what if we don't advertise you in advance, because I really want to wow the audience, and I think that you guys would be a real integral part of that. And so the votes said yes, and they are here. And they sounded awesome. They were rehearsing this afternoon. It was amazing. And then I called some guys that had not been together on a stage in a theater in over 50 years. So when I tell you that you are seeing something tonight, and we're going to kick this show off on a legendary, not only a big note, but a legendary note, because you're seeing something that no one else has seen. This band started in the 60s, and they were managed, actually the only American band to be managed by Brian Epstein, the Beatles manager. And so they ended up opening up at Shea Stadium and Candlestick Park for the Beatles, right? Where did they go, you know? I mean, these guys are still around, you know? But they did some legendary work, and then their biggest hit record was written by a guy by the name of Paul Simon. Have you heard of him? He also is not working tonight. So these guys are still, it's amazing. They're one of my favorites. I never thought I'd get to see them live on stage. You're getting it right now. Ladies and gentlemen, the Cyrkle!
It's much too early on a summer's day to waste running round in the city. But here on the sand I can dream away, or look at the birds in you know, well, some of you anyway, we were on the Beatles tour. We did the whole thing, all, I think, 16, 17 cities. Got to meet them, got to hang out with them. But you got to remember, before we met him, even though we were managed by Brian, we hadn't met him yet, and now here we are on the first plane. And they're behind a wall, back in the back. Now the whole tour is on the plane. It's a big commercial airliner, and I'm sitting next to Nat Weiss, our co-manager with Brian, and Tommy Dawes, my old Cyrkle mate, who sadly has passed on. And we're looking back, and we're looking back, and the door doesn't open, the door doesn't open, and finally, well into the flight, the door opens, and there's Paul. Oh my God, and so we're watching, and he kind of walks up, and he's moving along slowly. He's very jovial. I think he cared about the image of the band the most. And he's shaking hands, He finally gets to us, because we're sort of towards the front. And Nat Weiss, who knows him from before, introduces us. So, Don Hanneman, meet Paul McCartney. Wow, nice to meet you. Couple of quick words. Tommy Dawes, meet Paul McCartney. Another couple of quick words, and Paul smiles, nice to meet you guys. Back behind the door closes. And we spent the rest of the flight just, what could we have done to make him stay longer? What could we have done to, just get Paul to talk more? Anyway, so in honor of Paul and in honor of that relationship, our next song will be a Beatles song. And I sort of give it to you with mixed emotions because it's a great song. Paul did a great job. I love how Roscoe, our guy, sings it. And it is the song that kept Red Rubber Ball out of the #1 position on the charts. So, paperback writer. Turn down day, we're going into the recording studio, And you already heard Paul Simon wrote Red Rubber Ball. So we know, and we go into Columbia Studios, they were with Columbia, and they're just finishing up, Simon and Garfunkel are finishing up a recording, and we're going in to do it. And it's kind of everybody knows everybody, how you doing, what's going on. Paul comes up to me and he says, hey, there's a song that we're working on for this album that I think would be just perfect for you guys. And, you know, if you'd like to do it, you can get it out before we put the album out. The album probably won't be out for a little while. So, well, let's hear it. Engineer pushes the button. The studio is bouncing around. Oh my God, this is a hit record. And 50 plus years later, I still cannot explain to you the brain freeze that went through all of us as to why we didn't do it. It would come out later, and it was a big hit. But had we done it, it would have gone something like this. just stories in the past with nothing